Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Swami Vivekananda was an Indian Hindu monk and philosopher. He was a chief disciple of the 19th century Indian mystic Ramakrishna. Influenced by Western esotericism, he was a key figure in the introduction of the Indian darshans, teaching and practices of Vedanta and Yoga to the Western world, and is credited with raising interfaith awareness, bringing Hinduism to the status of a major world religion during the late 19th century. He was a major force in the contemporary Hindu reform movements in India and contributed to the concept of nationalism in colonial India. Vivekananda founded the Ramakrishna Mutt and the Ramakrishna Mission. He is perhaps best known for his speech, which began with the words "Sisters and Brothers of America," in which he introduced Hinduism at the Parliament of the World's Religions in Chicago in 1893. Born into an aristocratic Bengali Kayastha family of Calcutta, Vivekananda was inclined towards spirituality. He was influenced by his guru Ramakrishna, from whom he learned that all living beings were an embodiment of the divine self. Therefore, service to God could be rendered by service of humankind. After Ramakrishna's death, Vivekananda toured to Indian subcontinent extensively and acquired first-hand knowledge of the conditions prevailing in British India. He later travelled to the United States representing India at the 1893 Parliament of the World's Religions. Vivekananda conducted hundreds of public and private lectures and classes disseminating tenets of Hindu philosophy in the United States, England, and Europe. In India, Vivekananda is regarded as a patriotic saint, and his birthday is celebrated as National Youth Day. Vivekananda was born as Narendranath Datta, shortened to Narendra or Naren, in a Bengali family at his ancestral home at 3 Gomohan Mukherjee Street in Calcutta, the capital of British India, on 12th January 1863 during the Makar Sankranti festival. He belonged to a traditional family and was one of 9 siblings. His father, Vishwanath Datta, was an attorney at the Calcutta High Court. Durgacharan Datta, Narendra's grandfather, was a Sanskrit and Persian scholar who left his family and became a monk at 25 age. His mother, Bhuvaneshwari Devi, was a devoted housewife. The progressive, rational attitude of Narendra's father and the religious temperament of his mother helped shape his thinking and personality. In 1871, at the age of 8, Narendranath enrolled at Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar's Metropolitan Institute, where he went to school until his family moved to Raipur in 1877. In 1879, after his family's return to Calcutta, he was the only student to receive first division marks in the Presidency College entrance examination. He was an avid reader in a wide range of subjects including philosophy, religion, history, social science, art, and literature. He was also interested in Hindu scriptures including the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Purans. Narendra was trained in Indian classical music and regularly practiced in physical exercise, sports, and organized activities. Narendra studied Western logic, Western philosophy, and European history at the General Assembly's institution, now known as Scottish Church College. In 1881, he passed the Fine Arts examination and completed a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1884. In 1881, Narendra first met Ramakrishna, who became his spiritual focus after his own father had died in 1884. Narendra's first introduction to Ramakrishna occurred in a literature class at General Assembly's institution when he heard Professor William Hastie lecturing on William Wordsworth's poem The Excursion. While explaining the word trance in the poem, Hastie suggested that his students visit Ramakrishna of Dakshineshwar to understand the true meaning of trance. This prompted some of his students, including Narendra, to visit Ramakrishna. After Ramakrishna's death, his devotees and admirers stopped supporting his disciples. Unpaid rent accumulated, and Narendra and other disciples had to find a new place to live. Many returned home, adopting a grihastha, family-oriented way of life. Narendra decided to convert a dilapidated house at Varanagar into a new monastery for the remaining disciples. Rent for the Varanagar mutt was low, raised by holy begging. The mutt became the first building of the Ramakrishna mutt, the monastery of the monastic order of Ramakrishna. Narendra and other disciples used to spend many hours in practicing meditation and religious austerities every day. Narendra later reminisced about the early days of the monastery. We underwent a lot of religious practice at the Baranagar Mutt. We used to get up at 3 a.m. and become absorbed in japa and meditation. What a strong spirit of detachment we had in those days. We had no thought even as to whether the world existed or not. On 4th July 1902, Vivekananda awoke early, went to the monastery at Belur Math and meditated for 3 hours. He taught Shukla, Yagur, Veda, Sanskrit grammar and the philosophy of yoga to pupils, later discussing with colleagues a planned Vedic college in the Ramakrishna Mutt. At 7 p.m., Vivekananda went to his room asking not to be disturbed. He died at 9:20 p.m. while meditating. According to his disciples, Vivekananda attained Mahasamadhi. The rupture of a blood vessel in his brain was reported as a possible cause of death. His disciples believed that the rupture was due to his Brahmarandra, an opening in the crown of his head, being pierced when he attained Mahasamadhi. Vivekananda fulfilled his prophecy that he would not live 40 years.